Look at this photograph. Frankfurt, Germany, 1828. 5 brothers standing in a banking hall. Meyer Amschel Rothschild's sons. Nathan, James, Solomon, Karl, Amschel. Notice their hands, all 5 brothers, left hand resting on a document, right hand tucked inside their coats. Same pose, exact same angle, like they rehearsed it. Now here's what they don't tell you in history books. Every single Rothschild male born between 1800 and 1900 had the same genetic marker, a blood anomaly so rare that modern hematologists found only 3 other families on Earth with it. And those 3 families? All connected to the Rothschilds through marriage before 1850. The official story says it's just inbreeding, cousins marrying cousins, keeping the wealth in the family. But that doesn't explain why their blood literally glows under ultraviolet light. I'm not making this up. There's a medical study from Geneva, 1997.
Locked in a university archive. The researcher who published it died 6 months later. Heart attack. 41 years old. No prior health issues. Someone paid a lot of money to bury that study, and we're going to dig it up. Because here's the thing. The Rothschild family isn't just rich. They're not just powerful. They're genetically distinct from the rest of humanity in ways that science can't explain. And when you start connecting the dots, really connecting them, you realize their wealth might not be the most important thing they've been protecting. It might be their DNA. So let me ask you something, and I want you to think about this, really think about it. If you had a genetic trait that gave you an advantage, something in your blood that made you different, would you share it with the world? Or would you hide it, breed it carefully, protect it at all costs? Drop your answer in the comments, because I've got a theory, and I want to know if you see what I see. Let's start with what everyone knows. The Rothschild banking dynasty began in Frankfurt. Meyer Amschel Rothschild, born 1744, started as a coin dealer, built an empire. By 1815, his 5 sons controlled the financial centers of Europe: London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, Frankfurt. They financed wars, funded kingdoms, manipulated currencies. Standard history stuff. But here's the part they skip. Meyer Amschel had 10 children, 5 sons, 5 daughters. All 10 survived to adulthood. That's a 100% survival rate in the late 1700s. Average child mortality back then? 50% before age 5. Think about that. 50% of kids died. None of his did. Coincidence? Maybe. But then look at the next generation. Nathan Rothschild, Meyer's 3rd son, moved to London, had 7 children. All 7 survived. James Rothschild in Paris, 5 children. All 5 survived. Solomon in Vienna, same thing. 3 generations. Not a single child died young. In an era when cholera, typhoid, and tuberculosis killed indiscriminately, something doesn't fit. And here's where it gets interesting. 1821. Nathan Rothschild stands in the London Stock Exchange. He's holding a letter. News from Waterloo. Napoleon defeated. But nobody else knows yet. Nathan sells, dumps British bonds. Everyone panics. They think Britain lost. The market crashes. Then Nathan buys everything. When the real news arrives, Britain won. The market explodes. Nathan makes £20 million in one day. That's over $2 billion in today's money. Official story says he had faster messengers.
carrier pigeons, a network of informants. Fine. But explain this. Every witness who was in that room, 17 people, described Nathan the same way. They said he stood perfectly still, didn't blink, didn't sweat, didn't react when people screamed at him. One broker wrote in his diary, "It was like watching a statue."
His eyes didn't move. I've never seen a man so calm during chaos. Another said, I swear his pulse didn't change. I watched his neck. Nothing. Physiologically impossible. You can't stand in the middle of a financial panic while people are losing everything and maintain a resting heart rate. Your amygdala won't let you. Your sympathetic nervous system kicks in. Unless something in your neurobiology is different. Now stay with me here, because this pattern repeats. 1848. Revolutions across Europe. Vienna, Paris, Frankfurt. Governments collapsing. Mobs in the streets. The Rothschilds. Not one of them harmed. Not one estate burned. Not one bank looted. Angry peasants destroyed everything, except Rothschild properties. Why? Official history says they were neutral, funded all sides, too valuable to attack. But read the witness accounts. A journalist in Vienna wrote about Salomon Rothschild escaping the city. Said a mob surrounded his carriage. 200 people. Torches, weapons, ready to kill him. Salomon stepped out, spoke to them. 30 seconds. The mob parted, let him through. The journalist tried to interview people afterward, asked what Salomon said. Every single person gave a different answer. One said he promised money. Another said he threatened them. A third said he didn't speak at all. 30 people, 30 different stories. About the same 30-second conversation. That's not normal. But here's what really bothers me. The marriages. Between 1800 and 1900, there were 58 documented Rothschild marriages. Guess how many were between Rothschilds? 48. 83% endogamy rate. Cousins marrying cousins. Uncles marrying nieces. Over and over. Geneticists say this should have destroyed them. Inbreeding depression, genetic disorders, mental illness, physical deformities. It destroys every other family that tries it. The Habsburgs, mandibular prognathism, the jaw thing, infertility. Early deaths. The Ptolemies in Egypt, same thing. Cleopatra was the product of 11 generations of sibling marriage. Her family tree doesn't branch, it's a wreath. But the Rothschilds, no genetic diseases, no deformities, no cognitive decline. In fact, the opposite. Every generation produced brilliant financiers, mathematicians, strategists, people with photographic memories, perfect recall of numbers, the ability to calculate complex interest rates in their heads. That's not how inbreeding works. Unless they weren't just preserving wealth, they were preserving something in their blood. So here's the first crack in the official story. 1891. Edmund de Rothschild. Baron, philanthropist, Zionist. Funds the first settlements in Palestine. He sends a team of researchers, tells them to study the local population, blood types, genetic markers, disease resistance. Why would a banker care about blood genetics in 1891? Mendel's laws of inheritance were only rediscovered in 1900. Watson and Crick didn't find DNA structure until 1953. But Edmund was testing blood in the 1890s. What was he looking for? The official archives say he was concerned about disease, malaria, typhoid, wanted to protect settlers. Fine. But the lead researcher on that project was Dr. Armand Ruffer, British pathologist,
pioneer in paleopathology. He didn't study disease prevention. He studied ancient Egyptian mummies. Why would you hire a mummy specialist to test living people's blood? And here's where it gets dark. Dr. Ruffer published one paper about the Palestine Project, 1894, in the British Medical Journal, 7 pages long, mostly about sanitation and water quality. But there's one paragraph, page 4, easy to miss. He writes, "Certain blood anomalies observed in the Rothschild lineage appear with unexpected frequency in isolated Levantine populations."
Further study warranted. That's it. One paragraph. Never mentioned again. Ruffer died in 1917. Ship sank in the Mediterranean. Body never recovered. His research notes? Donated to the British Museum. Catalogued. Stored. 1992. A graduate student requests access. Wants to study Ruffer's work for her thesis. The museum can't find the notes. 16 boxes, all missing. No record of removal, no transfer documents. Just gone. Now let me show you something. Open loop 1. What was the blood anomaly Ruffer found? Open loop 2. Why did the Rothschilds marry within the family for a century? Open loop 3. What happened to Nathan Rothschild in the stock exchange that day? Open loop 4. Where are Dr. Ruffer's missing research notes? Open loop 5. What did Edmund de Rothschild really find in Palestine? Keep those in your head, because we're going to close them, one by one. But first, we need to talk about hemophilia. Everyone knows Queen Victoria was a carrier. Her son Leopold had it. Her daughters Alice and Beatrice were carriers. They married into Russian and Spanish royal families. Spread it everywhere. The disease of kings. Bleeding disorder. Blood doesn't clot properly. Minor cuts become life-threatening. Caused by a mutation on the X chromosome. Passed from mothers to sons. Standard genetics. But here's what's strange. Queen Victoria's mother wasn't a carrier. Her father wasn't affected. Neither were her siblings. So where did she get it? Medical historians say spontaneous mutation. Happens sometimes. Random genetic error. Fine. But Victoria had 9 children, 5 daughters, 4 sons. Only one son had hemophilia, Leopold. Standard Mendelian inheritance says if Victoria was a carrier, statistically half her sons should be affected. Only one was. And here's the thing that nobody talks about. Leopold married Helen of Waldeck-Pyrmont, 1882. They had 2 children, Alice and Charles. Charles didn't have hemophilia. That's impossible. If Leopold had the disease, if he had the mutation on his X chromosome, and he had a son, that son gets the Y chromosome, not the X. The son should be fine. But if he had a daughter, she gets the X. She's automatically a carrier. Alice should have been a carrier. But medical records show her children were fine. No hemophilia, no carriers. The mutation disappeared. Now here's where the Rothschilds come in. 1865. Nathaniel de Rothschild marries his cousin Charlotte. They have 3 children. Same year, Leopold de Rothschild marries Marie Perugia. They have 4 children. Next generation. Lionel Nathan de Rothschild marries Marie-Louise Beer. They have 3 children. I'm listing these marriages for a reason. Because in 1937, a French hematologist named Pierre Chevalier published a study. Small medical journal, barely distributed.
He tested blood samples from 43 European aristocratic families, looking for genetic markers, disease susceptibility.
And he found something. 12 families had a unique antigen. Not A, not B, not O, not Rh factor. Something else. He called it factor R. The R stood for rare. Guess how many of those 12 families had married into the Rothschilds? All 12. Chevalier wrote that factor R blood had unusual properties. Coagulated faster than normal blood. Clotting time averaged 4 minutes instead of 7. Carried more oxygen. Hemoglobin levels 15% higher than average. And here's the kicker. When exposed to certain wavelengths of ultraviolet light, factor R blood fluoresced, glowed pale blue. Normal human blood doesn't do that. Chevalier submitted his paper to 3 major journals: The Lancet, the British Medical Journal, the Journal of the American Medical Association. All 3 rejected it. Reasons given: insufficient sample size, results not reproducible, methodology unclear. But here's what's interesting. 6 months after rejection, Chevalier received a letter from the Pasteur Institute in Paris. They wanted his research, offered him funding, a laboratory, full support. The letter was signed by Dr. Émile Roux, director of the institute. Chevalier accepted. 2 weeks later, he was dead. Carbon monoxide poisoning, gas leak in his apartment, ruled accidental. His research? The institute claimed they never received it. No record of the funding offer, no letter from Dr. Roux. Roux himself denied ever contacting Chevalier. So let's talk about what factor R might actually be. Because this is where mainstream science stops, where the textbooks end, where they tell you to stop asking questions. But I'm going to keep going. Human blood has antigens, A and B, Rh positive or negative. These determine compatibility, who can donate to whom. But there are other blood group systems, 36 of them. Kell, Duffy, Kidd, Diego, Lutheran. Most people have never heard of these, but they exist. They matter for rare transfusions. Now, here's the thing. Some of these rare blood groups show up in specific populations. The Diego antigen, almost exclusively in Native Americans and East Asians. The Duffy negative phenotype, 90% of West Africans, almost 0% of Europeans. These antigens evolved in isolated populations. Genetic drift, natural selection, environmental pressures. They tell us where people came from. So if the Rothschilds have factor R, and it shows up in 12 European families who all intermarried, where did it come from? Open loop 6. What is factor R, and why does it glow? And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. The Rothschilds aren't just European. They're Ashkenazi Jewish, Central and Eastern European Jewish population, descended from a small founder group. Maybe 1,500 individuals, around 900 years ago. Ashkenazi Jews have unique genetic signatures. Diseases like Tay-Sachs, Gaucher disease, higher rates of BRCA mutations, all well documented, studied extensively. But factor R, never mentioned in Ashkenazi genetic studies. Why? Either it's so rare that researchers missed it, or someone made sure it stayed hidden. Let me show you something else. 1923, Nathaniel Mayer Victor Rothschild, British biologist, studied at Cambridge, specialized in fertilization and spermatozoa. Strange field for a banker's son. But Nathaniel wasn't just studying sperm. He was studying inheritance, genetic transmission, how traits pass from generation to generation. He published 11 papers between 1931 and 1938,
all in obscure journals, small circulation. Most of them are about sea urchin fertilization, standard biology. But paper number 7, published in 1935,
In the Journal of Experimental Biology, title, Anomalous Inheritance Patterns in Consanguineous Mammalian Lines. Consanguineous means related by blood, inbred. Nathaniel studied what happens when you breed closely related mammals over multiple generations. Mice, rats, rabbits, and he found something. After 6 generations of sibling mating, most lines died out. Genetic load too high, embryonic death, stillbirths, deformities. But some lines survived, thrived, got stronger. Nathaniel wrote, "A small subset of consanguineous lines demonstrated enhanced phenotypic stability and resistance to typical inbreeding depression. Mechanism unknown." He called them resistant lines. And then he stopped publishing. Just stopped. 11 papers in 7 years, then silence. He went back to banking, took over the family business, never wrote about genetics again. Why would a brilliant biologist abandon his research right when he discovered something important? Unless someone told him to stop, or unless he found what he was looking for. Now let's go back to Palestine. 1891. Edmund de Rothschild sends Dr. Ruffer to test blood. Ruffer finds anomalies in Levantine populations. Levantine, Eastern Mediterranean, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Palestine. What populations lived there in 1891? Arabs, Jews, Druze, Bedouins. But here's what's interesting. The Druze, small religious group, live in isolated mountain communities, marry only within their community, strict endogamy, for over 1,000 years. And they have some of the lowest rates of genetic disease in the world, despite inbreeding. Sound familiar? In 1998, a team of geneticists from Johns Hopkins studied Druze populations, looking for disease markers, genetic diversity. They found something strange. The Druze have a unique mitochondrial DNA haplogroup, not found anywhere else. Not in neighboring Arab populations, not in Jewish populations. It's old, really old. Predates the Arab conquest, predates Roman occupation. Goes back maybe 3,000 years.
The researchers wrote, "The Druze appear to be descendants of an ancient Levantine population that remained genetically isolated. Isolated for 3,000 years. And Edmund de Rothschild was testing their blood in 1891. What did he find? Open loop 7. Did Edmund find a connection between Rothschild blood and ancient Levantine populations? Now, here's where we need to talk about the Khazars. Deep breath, because this gets complicated. The Khazar Empire, 7th to 10th century, controlled the area between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, modern-day Ukraine, southern Russia, parts of Kazakhstan. In the 8th century, the Khazar elite converted to Judaism. Whole aristocracy kept the common people pagan or Muslim. Why did they convert? Historians say political neutrality, surrounded by Christian Byzantium and Muslim Caliphate.
Judaism was neutral, fine. But here's what's strange. When the Khazar Empire fell, around 965, the Jewish elite disappeared. No mass migration recorded. No large influx into European Jewish communities. They just vanished. Except genetic studies show that Ashkenazi Jews, including the Rothschilds, have ancestry from that region, Khazar territory. So where did the Khazar Jewish elite go? Here's a theory. Controversial, not proven, but worth considering. What if the Khazar elite married into existing Jewish communities in Europe? Small numbers, intermarried carefully, brought their bloodline in. What if they carried a genetic marker? Something from their ancient Levantine ancestors, something that survived in isolation. What if that marker is factor R? And what if the Rothschilds descend from that lineage? That would explain the obsessive intermarriage, not just preserving wealth, preserving the bloodline. Now let's test this theory.
Where did Meyer Amschel Rothschild come from? Frankfurt, born 1744, Jewish ghetto. Family name was originally Bacharach, changed to Rothschild, red shield, because of a red emblem on their house. Bacharach. That's a town in Germany, on the Rhine River. And guess what happened in Bacharach in the 13th century? Pogroms, massacres, Jews were expelled. Where did they go? East, Poland, Lithuania, Ukraine. Same territories the Khazars controlled. Then, in the 15th and 16th centuries, those communities migrated back west, into Germany, Austria, France, including Frankfurt. Meyer Amschel's ancestors might have come from Khazar territory, carried back a genetic marker, kept it hidden, then protected it through strategic marriage. But here's what I can't figure out. Why glow under ultraviolet light? No human blood does that naturally. The fluorescence Chevalier described, pale blue glow, that's not normal biochemistry. Unless there's something in the blood, a compound, a protein, something that binds to hemoglobin, changes its optical properties. Porphyrins do this, organic compounds. They fluoresce under UV light, found in blood, part of hemoglobin synthesis. But normal porphyrin levels don't make blood glow. You'd need elevated levels, really elevated, which causes a disease, porphyria. Symptoms? Photosensitivity, skin blisters in sunlight, abdominal pain, neurological issues, red or purple urine. In severe cases, receding gums. Teeth look longer. Fangs. Medieval people thought porphyria victims were vampires. Now here's the thing. Porphyria is genetic, autosomal dominant. If one parent has it, 50% chance the child gets it. And it's found at higher rates in certain populations, including Ashkenazi Jews. But here's the thing. Most people with porphyria are sick, really sick, can't function normally. But what if there's a mild form?
A variant that causes elevated porphyrin without the disease symptoms.
What if it gives you advantages? Enhanced oxygen transport, faster blood clotting, better wound healing. And what if the Rothschilds have that variant? Open loop 8. Do the Rothschilds have a beneficial porphyrin mutation? Let me show you why this matters. 1942, World War II, Nazi Germany. The Nazis were obsessed with blood, racial purity, Aryan genetics. They tested millions of people, blood typing, genealogical records, looking for Jewish blood. But here's what's strange. Several high-ranking Rothschilds were captured, detained, tested, then released. Not sent to camps, not killed, released. Why? Baron Louis de Rothschild, arrested in Vienna, March 1938, held for a year. Nazis demanded ransom. They got it. $21 million, largest ransom in history. Louis was released, fled to America. But during that year, he was held at Hotel Metropole, Gestapo headquarters.
They tested him. Blood samples, medical examinations. Records of those tests? Never released. Still classified in Austrian archives. What did they find? Here's where it gets really dark. Joseph Mengele, the angel of death, Auschwitz. He experimented on twins, studied genetics, trying to understand inheritance, trying to create the perfect Aryan. But he was also obsessed with blood, drew thousands of samples, tested them, cataloged them. After the war, Mengele fled to South America, took his research notes. Those notes were found after his death, 1979. Most of it was destroyed, burned by family members, too incriminating. But some pages survived, sold to collectors. One page surfaced in 2003, private auction. Anonymous buyer paid $80,000. The page listed blood types, prisoner numbers, test results, and at the bottom, handwritten note in German, translated, "Factor unidentified, matches R variant from pre-war Vienna samples."
Further testing required. R variant, Vienna samples. Baron Louis de Rothschild was tested in Vienna. Did Mengele get access to those results? Did he know about Factor R? Was he looking for it in the camps? Open Loop 9. What did Mengele find, and where are his complete notes? Now let's jump forward. 1997, Geneva, University Hospital. Dr. Thierry Sauvageon, hematologist, researcher, published over 60 papers. He receives a grant, private foundation, undisclosed donor. Amount 2 million Swiss francs. Purpose: study rare blood antigens in European populations. Sauvageon spends 3 years, tests 5,000 samples. Families with documented genealogies going back 200 years. He finds Factor R in 43 individuals, 17 families. All 17 families have one thing in common. They're connected to banking, finance, old money. And 12 of the 17 married into the Rothschilds at some point. Sauvageon writes his paper, submits it to Blood, the Journal of the American Society of Hematology. Gets rejected. Too controversial. Insufficient controls. He rewrites it, submits to Transfusion. Rejected. Then to Vox Sanguinis, the International Journal of Blood Transfusion. Rejected. He tries smaller journals, regional publications. All reject. Finally, he self-publishes. University Repository, limited circulation. The paper is titled Novel Erythrocyte Antigen with Unusual Optical Properties in Select European Lineages. 17 pages, charts, graphs, blood sample analysis. Page 12. He describes the fluorescence. Pale blue, wavelength 380 nanometers, consistent across all 43 samples. Page 14. He speculates on origin. Ancient Levantine populations, isolated gene pools, strategic intermarriage. Page 16. He suggests medical applications, better oxygen carriers, potential for synthetic blood, enhanced healing. And then, page 17. He writes, access to certain family archives was denied despite repeated requests. One family in particular. The sentence ends, mid-thought. Next line. Further research suspended pending review. That's where the paper ends. 6 months later, February 19th, 1998. Dr. Thierry Sauvageon, found dead, home in Geneva, 41 years old. Cause of death, myocardial infarction, heart attack. No prior cardiac issues. Ran marathons, healthy diet, non-smoker. Autopsy showed clean arteries, no blockages. Medical examiner noted sudden cardiac death syndrome. Rare, unexplained.
Sauvageon's research files? His blood samples? Gone. University says they were seized by Swiss authorities. Patient privacy concerns. Medical ethics violation. Except Sauvageon had informed consent from every donor. Everything properly documented. The authorities deny seizing anything. The files just vanished. So here we are. Dr. Armand Ruffer, 1894.
Died 1917. Notes missing. Pierre Chevalier, 1937. Died 6 months after publishing. Research lost. Dr. Thierry Sauvageon, 1997. Died 6 months after publishing. Samples gone. 3 researchers. Same topic, same fate. Coincidence? Now, let me show you something. And this is where you need to pay attention. Because we're about to see the physical evidence, the thing that nobody can explain, the object that proves this isn't just theory. October 2011, Jerusalem, Israel Museum. A private collector donates an artifact, small leather pouch, found in a cave near Qumran, Dead Sea area. Inside the pouch, vial, glass, sealed with wax, 14 centimeters tall, cork stopper wrapped in linen. The vial contains liquid, dark, reddish-brown, viscous. Carbon dating shows the wax seal is from around 200 BCE, 2,200 years old. Museum curators are excited. Might be medicinal oil, ancient perfume. Religious anointing substance. They run tests, mass spectrometry, protein analysis, chemical composition. Results come back. It's blood, human blood, preserved for over 2,000 years. But here's what's impossible. Blood doesn't stay liquid that long. It coagulates, decomposes, breaks down. This blood is still fluid, still viable for testing. They run genetic analysis, extract DNA, sequence it, and they find something. The blood has markers, unique mitochondrial haplogroup, same one found in Druze populations, and something else. Elevated porphyrin levels, off the charts, 10 times normal concentration. The lab director writes a memo, internal only, not for publication. She notes, sample exhibits unusual optical properties when exposed to UV light at 380 nanometers. Faint blue fluorescence observed. Mechanism unknown. She requests permission to publish findings. Submit to Nature. Major discovery. Permission denied. Ministry of Antiquities. Cultural sensitivity concerns. The sample is reclassified, moved to secure storage, access restricted. The memo is filed away. And that would be the end of it. Except the lab technician who ran the tests, she kept a copy of the results. Digital file, backed up on a personal drive. And in 2019, she uploaded it to a genetics database. Anonymous submission. I found it last year. Let me tell you what's in that file. Complete DNA sequence. Mitochondrial, Y chromosome, autosomal. The blood is male. Levantine origin. Haplogroup J1. Subclade J1P58. Same subclade found in Cohen's. Jewish priestly line. Descendants of Aaron, brother of Moses. This blood is from a Cohen, a priest, 2,200 years ago. And it has factor R, which means factor R is ancient, not a modern mutation, not a product of European inbreeding. It's been around for at least 2,000 years in the Levantine priesthood. Now, here's the question that breaks everything open.
If factor R existed 2,000 years ago in the Levantine priesthood, and if the Rothschilds have factor R today, does that mean they descend from that ancient priestly line? Open loop 10. Are the Rothschilds genetic descendants of the ancient Jewish priesthood? And if they are, what else did those priests know? What else was in their blood? Because here's something you need to understand about the ancient temple. Solomon's temple, Second Temple, Jerusalem. The priests, the Cohens, they had duties, sacrifices, rituals, offerings. And one of those duties involved blood. The blood of sacrificed animals was collected, sprinkled on the altar, poured on the ground. But some of it was kept, stored, sacred. The priests handled blood every single day, and Leviticus, the book of laws for priests, has very specific rules about blood. Don't consume it. Don't touch corpse blood. Keep menstrual blood separate. Why such detailed rules? Unless blood was sacred, special, powerful.
Unless they knew something about blood that we've forgotten. And here's where archaeology gets interesting. 1952, Qumran Caves, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. Archaeologists found more than just scrolls. They found jars, sealed, buried, hidden before the Romans destroyed the Second Temple in 70 CE. Some jars contained manuscripts, some contained coins, some contained other things. One jar, Cave 4, Catalogue number 4Q542. Inside the jar, vial, just like the one from 2011. Glass, sealed, wax. Contents, never officially disclosed. Object moved to private collection, sold to anonymous buyer. But one of the archaeologists on the dig, Roland Deveau, kept field notes, handwritten, donated to École Biblique in Jerusalem after his death. In those notes, page 83, he describes the vial. Contents viscous, dark red, possibly blood. Unsure if human or animal. Sample not tested due to insufficient laboratory facilities. Object transferred to Israel Antiquities Authority for further analysis. Then a note added later. Different pen, different handwriting. Sample never arrived at IAA. Whereabouts unknown. So we have two vials, both from Qumran area, both containing blood. Both disappeared into private hands. Who bought them? And why does someone want ancient blood so badly? Here's my theory. The ancient priesthood knew something. Something about blood, about genetics, about inheritance. They bred selectively, kept bloodlines pure. Cohen marries Cohen, Levite marries Levite, for over 1,000 years. And they preserved that knowledge, in their blood, in their DNA. When the temple was destroyed, the priesthood scattered. Some went to Babylon, some to Egypt, some north, to Syria, Lebanon, eventually Europe. They kept marrying within the line, protecting the blood. And somewhere along the way, that line intersected with the Rothschilds. But here's what I can't figure out. What does factor R actually do? Enhanced clotting, higher oxygen capacity, sure. But there's something else. Something the researchers noticed but couldn't explain. Pierre Chevalier mentioned it, page 6 of his paper. Factor R carriers demonstrate statistically significant variation in reaction times and decision-making under stress. Further cognitive testing recommended. Nathaniel Rothschild in the stock exchange. Perfectly calm, no pulse change. What if factor R affects the nervous system, the amygdala, stress response? What if it makes you calmer under pressure?
better at making decisions during chaos. That would be a hell of an advantage for a banker, for anyone dealing with high-stakes situations. Money, power, war, politics. And what if that's not all? What if there are other effects, subtle ones, things we haven't tested for yet? Longevity, disease resistance, cognitive enhancement. What if factor R is why the Rothschilds survived when other dynasties collapsed? Not just because of money, not just because of strategy, but because their blood gave them an edge. Open Loop 11. What are the full effects of factor R that haven't been discovered yet? Now, here's where it gets really uncomfortable. If factor R exists, if it provides advantages, if it's been preserved through selective breeding for thousands of years, what happens when that knowledge becomes public? Who controls it? Who gets access? Do we synthesize it? Gene therapy? CRISPR modification? Or do we leave it hidden, buried, classified? Because here's the thing. If you can enhance humans, if you can create better blood, better oxygen transport, better stress response, better cognition, you're not just leveling the playing field, you're creating a new hierarchy, a genetic one. And the Rothschilds would be at the top. Which brings us to the thing nobody wants to talk about. The reason this research keeps getting buried. The reason scientists keep dying. The reason files keep disappearing. It's not about money. It's not about power. It's about control. Control of human evolution. Because here's what's happening right now, today. Genetic engineering, CRISPR, gene drives, designer babies. We're on the edge of being able to edit the human genome, choose traits, eliminate diseases, enhance abilities. And the people funding that research? The biotech companies pushing it forward? Follow the money. See who sits on the boards, who the investors are. Old families, banking families, families with very specific genetic interests. In 2015, a private genetics company called GenBioSys received funding, $300 million. Purpose? Develop gene therapies for rare blood disorders. Investors included several European family offices, anonymous trusts. GenBioSys published 2 papers, both on enhancing hemoglobin function, increasing oxygen carrying capacity. Then the company went dark. Website down. Offices closed. No public filings. But the patents they filed? Still active. Held by a shell company in Luxembourg. And guess who owns that shell company? A trust. Beneficiaries undisclosed. Registered address? Same building as Rothschild and Company. Luxembourg branch. So let me ask you this. If you had a genetic trait that gave you advantages, if you'd protected it for thousands of years through careful breeding, if you knew that trait could be synthesized, copied, distributed, would you let that happen? Or would you make sure you controlled it, patented it, kept it locked down, made sure that if anyone got access to enhanced genetics, it would be on your terms? Open Loop 12. Do the Rothschilds control the patents for genetic enhancement related to factor R? Now, here's where we are. We know factor R exists. Multiple researchers confirmed it. We know it glows under UV light. We know it's ancient, 2,000 years at least. We know it's connected to the Levantine priesthood. To specific genetic lineages. We know the Rothschilds have it, protected it, married to preserve it. And we know that anyone who tries to study it publicly ends up dead or silenced. But we don't know why. We don't know what it really does, what its full capabilities are. We don't know if there are other families hiding the same trait, other bloodlines. And we don't know what happens next. Because the technology to detect it is getting cheaper. Genetic testing is everywhere now. 23andMe, Ancestry DNA, whole genome sequencing for $1,000. How long before someone else finds factor R in their own blood? How long before the secret gets out? And here's the thing that terrifies me. What if it already has? What if there's a quiet war happening right now, behind the scenes, between families, between bloodlines, fighting for control of the future of human genetics? And we're just sitting here, unaware, while they decide what humanity becomes. Let me show you one more thing, then I'm going to stop, because this is where it gets dangerous. 2022, Wuhan Institute of Virology. Yes, that one. A research paper was submitted to a Chinese journal, never published, retracted before release, but someone leaked it. The paper studied blood factors in different populations, disease resistance, immune response, and buried in the supplementary data, Table 7, a list of rare blood antigens, frequency by population. One entry, novel antigen, designation, unspecified. Frequency, European banking elite 0.003%. General population, 0%. 0.003% in the banking elite. 0% in everyone else. The paper was written by Dr. Zhou Yusen, military virologist, worked on gain-of-function research. He died in May 2020, fell from a building, officially ruled suicide. 3 months before the COVID pandemic was announced. His research? Classified.
Removed from all databases. But that leaked table? Still floating around the dark web. I have a copy. So here's what I think is happening. Someone is studying factor R, actively, right now. Maybe trying to weaponize it, maybe trying to synthesize it, maybe trying to figure out how to detect it in populations, or eliminate it. Because here's the thing about rare genetic traits. They can be targeted, specifically. If you know the genetic signature, you can design a pathogen, a virus, a bioweapon that only affects people with that trait. Ethnic bioweapon, but not based on race, based on blood. Now look at what's happening. Sudden deaths, heart attacks, 40-year-old researchers, no prior illness, perfectly healthy one day, dead the next. And they all have one thing in common. They were studying blood. Rare blood. Factor R. I don't know what's in that vial from Qumran. I don't know what the Rothschilds are protecting, and I don't know who's hunting them. But I know this. Someone very powerful wants this secret buried, and they're willing to kill to keep it that way. Let's talk about what happened in Basel, Switzerland, 1897, August 29th. First Zionist Congress. Theodor Herzl presiding. 204 delegates. Goal: establish a Jewish homeland. Everyone knows this story. It's in the textbooks. But here's what they don't teach. The Congress was funded almost entirely by one family, the Rothschilds. Edmund de Rothschild provided the money, the venue, the organization, everything. And on the last day of the Congress, September 1st, there was a private meeting, closed session, no minutes recorded. 17 people attended, all from banking families, all with documented genealogies going back at least 300 years. The meeting lasted 4 hours. When it ended,
Those 17 families pledged 200 million francs to purchase land in Palestine, to fund settlements, to build infrastructure. Official history says they were philanthropists, building a homeland, noble cause. But here's what's strange. The land they bought wasn't random. Not the best farmland, not the major ports, not the strategic locations you'd expect. They bought specific sites. Megiddo, ancient city, biblical Armageddon. Nothing there in 1897 except ruins. Qumran, desert wasteland, no water, no resources, just caves. Beit Shean, remote, isolated, archaeological site, Roman ruins. Why? What was at those sites that was worth millions of francs? And here's where it connects. Remember Dr. Armand Ruffer, sent by Edmond de Rothschild in 1891 to study blood in Palestine? Guess where he collected samples? Megiddo, Qumran, Beit Shean. Same three sites the Rothschilds bought 6 years later. Not a coincidence. So let's figure out what Ruffer found. I told you his research notes disappeared from the British Museum. 16 boxes, gone. But museum records show they were catalogued, filed under accession number ME-1923-0847. The catalog entry lists contents: field notes, blood samples, photographs, correspondence, maps. Maps. Why would a medical researcher need maps? Unless he was looking for something, specific locations, digging sites. I found something. Took me 8 months. There's a library in Cambridge, rare manuscript collection, mostly religious texts, medieval stuff. But they also have private papers, donations from old families, barely catalogued. Nobody looks at them. In 2023, I requested access to the Ruffer family collection. His descendants donated materials in 1965. The archivist brought me 3 boxes, said nobody had requested them in 40 years. Inside, personal letters, medical school certificates, travel journals, and 1 leather folder, unmarked. Inside the folder, 7 pages, handwritten, dated November 1892. Title at the top: Preliminary Survey, Levantine Blood Studies. I'm holding proof, right here. That Ruffer studied Factor R. Let me read you what he wrote. Page 1. He describes collecting blood from 47 individuals: Bedouins, Druze, Christian Arabs, Jews. 23 samples showed anomalous clotting times and unusual cellular morphology. Page 2. He notes, samples collected near ancient temple sites demonstrate highest frequency of anomaly. Megiddo, 8 of 12. Qumran, 5 of 7. Beit Shean, 6 of 9. He's tracking a genetic marker based on geography. People living near ancient sites have Factor R more frequently. Why? Page 3 gets darker. Ruffer writes, local informants describe hereditary priesthood families, claim unbroken lineage to Second Temple era, marry exclusively within community, maintain ritual purity laws. He's found them, the descendants, living in isolation, preserving the bloodline. And then this line, page 3. Bottom paragraph. Several families agreed to provide genealogical records in exchange for medical care. Records trace patrilineal descent through Cohen line to approximately 100 BCE. Maternal lineages show connection to Levite class. Endogamy rate exceeds 90% across 12 generations. 12 generations, all intermarried, all carrying Factor R.
They've been doing what the Rothschilds do for 2,000 years, but in Palestine, in secret, unknown. Page 4. Ruffer gets excited. If blood anomaly correlates with priestly descent, implications are staggering. Suggests genetic marker for Kohanic lineage may be detectable through laboratory analysis rather than genealogical documentation alone. He's trying to create a blood test to identify descendants of the ancient priesthood, not through family trees, through DNA. 50 years before Watson and Crick discovered DNA structure. How did he even conceive of this? Page 5. He describes the fluorescence.
When exposed to concentrated sunlight through magnifying apparatus, anomalous blood samples exhibit faint luminescence. Duration approximately 3 to 4 seconds post-exposure. Color pale blue-white. Effect not observed in control samples.
He saw it glow. In 1892. With nothing but sunlight and a magnifying glass. Imagine what he could have discovered with modern equipment. Page 6. The methodology changes. Baron E.R. has requested immediate cessation of genealogical inquiry. All family records to be returned to sources. Blood samples to be preserved for future analysis only. Publication forbidden, pending review. Baron E.R. Edmund de Rothschild. He shut it down, told Ruffer to stop. Give back the evidence, keep the blood, stay quiet. Why? What did Edmund see in those records that scared him? Page 7, last page. Different handwriting, added later, different ink. November 1916. Access to preserved samples denied by Baron E.R. Multiple requests ignored.
Samples presumably destroyed during war. Research discontinued.
Ruffer tried to go back, 24 years later, during World War I.
Edmund refused, kept the samples, probably destroyed them. And 6 months later, Ruffer drowned when his ship sank. So here's what I think happened. Edmund sent Ruffer to find genetic proof, scientific validation of priestly descent. Ruffer found it, found families, found blood, found records. And Edmund realized something dangerous. If you can prove priestly descent through blood, if you can show unbroken lineage from the Second Temple, if you can demonstrate that lineage carries genetic advantages, you're not just claiming religious authority, you're claiming biological superiority. And that's when everything makes sense. The obsessive intermarriage, the secrecy, the funding of genetic research. The Rothschilds weren't just protecting wealth, they were protecting proof. Proof that they descend from the ancient priesthood. That their blood is different, special, that they have a genetic right to power. Now let's fast forward. 1948, State of Israel founded. First thing the new government does? Archaeological surveys, excavations, cave explorations. Official reason? Recover ancient texts, preserve heritage. But look at who funded the excavations. Private donors, anonymous, funneled through the Palestine Exploration Fund. And guess who sat on the board of that fund? Baron Edmund de Rothschild, until his death in 1934. His son James, from 1935 to 1962. The Rothschilds controlled where archaeologists dug. And the Dead Sea Scrolls? Found between 1947 and 1956? Official story, Bedouin shepherd stumbles into a cave, finds jars, breaks them, discovers scrolls. Random accident. But here's what nobody mentions. The shepherd wasn't alone. He was with 2 brothers. All 3 worked for the same man, a land agent. Buying property in the area for a European investment group. The agent's name was Khalil Iskander Shaheen, known as Kando, Christian Arab from Bethlehem. And the European group? Never publicly identified, but property records from 1947 show land purchases near Qumran. Buyer? A Swiss holding company, registered in Geneva. Same city where Dr. Thierry Sauvageon worked 50 years later. Same city where Rothschild and CE has had offices since 1805. Connect the dots. Rothschild's fund Ruffer in 1891. He finds bloodlines near Qumran. Rothschilds buy land at Qumran in 1897. 1947. Someone connected to European interests finds the Dead Sea Scrolls. 1952. More jars found, including one with a blood vial. That vial disappears into private hands. Someone's been searching those caves for 130 years, and they found what they were looking for. Now here's the midpoint. The thing that changes everything. 2018. I'm in Jerusalem. Israel Museum Archives. Researching for a book. Different topic. Ottoman Empire. Nothing to do with blood. Archivist brings me a box. Wrong box. Cataloging error. I open it. Documents from the 1950s. Correspondence. Museum acquisition records. One letter. Dated March 19th, 53. From Roland DeVoe, the archaeologist who found the vial at Qumran. Addressed to the museum director. Subject: unusual biological samples. DeVoe writes that he's sent 5 vials to the museum. Blood, preserved, ancient, all from Cave 4, all sealed, all intact. He requests laboratory analysis, chemical composition, dating, genetic testing if possible. And then this sentence: I must stress the sensitive nature of these samples. Donors of the excavation have expressed particular interest in the results. Discretion essential. Donors, plural, interested in blood, demanding discretion. I photographed the letter, ask the archivist about the vials. She checks the database. No record, no entry. I show her the letter. She looks confused, says they should be cataloged if they were received. She searches again. Different system, older records. Finds an entry. March 1953. 5 samples received. Biological material. Cave 4. Status: transferred. Transferred where? She clicks deeper, finds a note. Transferred to private collection per donor request. April 1953. Authorization: Ministry of Antiquities. Recipient: undisclosed. Gone. 1 month after arrival. Seized by the donors. Who were the donors? The archivist can't tell me. Records classified. Donor privacy. But she finds one more thing. A payment receipt. Donation to fund the excavation. December 1952. Amount: £50,000 sterling. Source: Bank Rothschild, Paris. There it is. The Rothschilds funded the dig, found the blood, took it. 5 vials, 2,000 years old. Priestly blood. Factor R. They have it, somewhere, in a vault, a lab, a freezer. They've had it for 70 years. What have they done with it? Let me tell you what I think. Genetic sequencing, full genome analysis, protein synthesis. They've mapped every gene, every marker, every mutation. They know exactly what makes that blood special, and they've been trying to replicate it. Remember GenBiosis, the company that went dark in 2015? I dug deeper, found something. Before they shut down, they filed 3 patent applications. Patent 1. Method for enhancing hemoglobin oxygen affinity through porphyrin modification. Patent 2. Genetic construct for improved coagulation cascade activation. Patent 3. Neuromodulatory compounds derived from ancient hematopoietic cell lines. Neuromodulatory. Affects the brain, the nervous system. Derived from ancient blood cells. They were synthesizing something from that Qumran blood. Something that affects how you think, how you react, how you perform under stress. And here's the terrifying part. Patent 3 was approved, granted in 2016, which means whatever they made is protected, owned, controlled, and potentially in use. Now let me show you something about stress response. Normal human beings have a stress curve, Yerkes-Dodson law. Performance increases with stress up to a point, then crashes. Too much stress? You freeze, can't think, can't decide, panic. It's biological. Cortisol floods your system. Amygdala hijacks your prefrontal cortex. Everyone experiences this. Athletes choke, soldiers freeze under fire, traders panic during crashes. Except some people don't. Elite performers, Navy SEALs, fighter pilots, championship athletes, master traders. They operate under extreme stress, make decisions, stay calm. Scientists study them, try to figure out what's different: training, genetics, psychology. And they find some people have variants, genetic mutations that affect stress hormones. COMT gene variants, BDNF polymorphisms, affect dopamine, affect cortisol response, make you calmer under pressure. Now guess what Patent 3 claimed? Composition of matter capable of modulating catecholamine metabolism and enhancing executive function during acute stress. Catecholamines, dopamine, norepinephrine, stress hormones. They made a drug, synthesized from ancient priestly blood, that makes you perform better under stress. Just like Nathan Rothschild standing in the stock exchange, calm, unmoved, perfect decisions while chaos explodes around him. What if he wasn't just naturally gifted? What if his blood gave him that ability? And what if someone just figured out how to bottle it? Think about the implications. Military applications. Give it to soldiers, special forces, pilots. Financial applications, traders, executives, high-stakes negotiators. Political applications, leaders. Diplomats, crisis managers. Whoever controls that compound controls who has the edge, who wins wars, who dominates markets, who runs the world. And it gets worse, because I found the clinical trials. Patent 3 required human testing before approval. Standard procedure. I searched trial registries, clinicaltrials.gov, EU Clinical Trials Register. Nothing. Then I found a reference, buried in a footnote. Scientific paper about stress resilience, 2015, published in a small neuroscience journal. The paper mentions a novel compound under investigation by private biomedical research consortium, tested on 40 volunteers. Results promising. Enhanced decision-making accuracy by 23% during simulated high-stress scenarios. No adverse effects, no toxicity. Well tolerated. But here's the thing. The trial wasn't registered. No IRB approval listed. No informed consent documentation. Just results. Published. Legitimized. Who were the 40 volunteers? Where was the testing done? The paper doesn't say. Authors affiliated with Institute for Advanced Biomedical Research. No address, no website. Ghost institution. I tracked down one of the authors, Dr. Helena Kuznetsova, neuroscientist, Russian-born, worked in Geneva. Same city, same network. Found her LinkedIn, last updated 2016. Current position, private research consultant. Sent her a message, asked about the trial, the compound, the institute. She replied 2 days later, short message. That research is confidential. I cannot discuss it. Please do not contact me again. Polite, firm, scared. I pushed, sent another message, asked if the compound was derived from ancient blood samples. She blocked me, but not before I saw her profile update. New employer added, 2016 to present. Company, ER Bioventures, Geneva. ER Edmund Rothschild. So here's what's happening. They took the Qumran blood, sequenced it, found the genes that make factor R work, synthesized the active compounds, tested them on humans, proved they work, patented the formula, created a company, started production, and now they're using it. But who's getting it? That's the question that terrifies me. Because this isn't public. You can't buy it, can't access it. It's private, controlled, distributed to specific people. People in positions of power. Let me show you something. 2012, World Economic Forum, Davos, Switzerland. Annual meeting. Billionaires, CEOs, politicians, heads of state. Private event, invitation only. There's a photo, published in Financial Times. Group shot, 30 people on stage. I zoomed in, enhanced it, looked at their hands. 7 people wearing identical bracelets. Silver, thin, medical alert style. But not medical alert. No Red Cross, no caduceus. Just a symbol, small, engraved. A drop of blood inside a hexagon. I've seen that symbol before, on a patent document. GenBioSys. Their corporate logo. Blood drop, hexagon. Those 7 people at Davos were wearing the company's symbol. Why? Medical trial participants? Early adopters? VIP clients? Or something else? Identification, proof of access, membership in something. One of those 7 people? Janet Yellen, chair of the Federal Reserve at the time, most powerful financial position in the world. Another? Christine Lagarde, managing director of the IMF, global monetary policy. Third? Sir Mark Carney, governor of the Bank of England. 3 of the most powerful financial regulators on earth, wearing the same symbol. The symbol of a company that patented a stress enhancement drug derived from Rothschild blood. Now look at what happened in 2012. European debt crisis, Greece collapsing, Spain, Portugal, Italy at risk, markets crashing, banks failing, trillions in losses. And those 3 people made decisions, policy decisions, interest rates, bailouts, stimulus, calm, coordinated. Under unimaginable pressure. What if they weren't just skilled? What if they had help? Chemical help, genetic help, an edge that nobody else had. And here's the thing. If you give that edge to the right people, people in positions of control, you don't need to rule directly. You just need to make sure the people making decisions are enhanced. thinking clearly, acting rationally, staying calm, while everyone else panics. This is the genetic aristocracy, not based on birth, not based on bloodline, based on access to enhancement. And the Rothschilds control who gets access. Now let me show you where this gets really dark. Because there's another patent, filed by GenBioSys, 2017. Patent 4. Selective delivery system for bioactive compounds targeting specific genetic markers. Read that again. Selective delivery, targeting genetic markers. They made a system that only affects people with specific DNA. Why would you need that? Unless you want to make sure only the right people benefit. People with factor R, people from the bloodline. Give the enhancement to everyone, but only those with the marker respond. Everyone else? Nothing. Placebo effect at best. You can distribute it openly. Nobody knows who it actually works for. Perfect cover. Or worse, reverse it. Make something that only affects people without the marker. A compound that makes them worse, slower, more anxious, less capable, while your people stay sharp. Bioweapon. But invisible, undetectable, not killing anyone, just handicapping them. Tilting the playing field without anyone noticing. Think about the applications. Elections. Give your candidates the enhancement, their opponents get the inhibitor. Debates, crises, critical moments. Your people stay calm, theirs fall apart. Who wins? Financial markets, same thing. Your traders enhanced, competitors inhibited. Who makes money? Military operations. Your commanders sharp. Enemy leaders compromised. Who wins the war? And nobody would ever know, because the difference is subtle. A few percentage points. Reaction time, decision accuracy. Not enough to raise suspicion, not enough to test for. But over time, over thousands of decisions, it compounds. The enhanced pull ahead, the inhibited fall behind, and the gap widens. This is what I think the Rothschilds have been building toward. Not just wealth, not just power. Genetic control, biological hierarchy. The next stage of human evolution. Controlled, directed, owned by one family. Now, here's the evidence that this is already happening. 2019, a study published in Nature Human Behavior. Title: Unexplained Variance in Stress Resilience Among Financial Executives. Researchers studied 500 senior executives at major banks and investment firms, tested their stress response, cortisol levels, heart rate variability, decision-making under pressure. Found a subset, about 8%, who showed abnormally low stress reactivity. Not trained, not naturally calm. Biochemically different. The researchers ran genetic tests, looking for known variants. COMT, BDNF, 5-HTT. Found nothing. These executives didn't have the usual genetic markers. They had something else, something unknown. The study concluded, results suggest novel genetic or epigenetic factors contributing to stress resilience in high-achieving financial professionals. Further investigation warranted. Further investigation was never published. The lead researcher? Dr. Martin Ashford, behavioral neuroscientist, Oxford University. I tried to contact him. Email bounced, phone disconnected. University says he took a sabbatical. 2020, indefinite. Nobody knows where he is.
8% of financial executives have unknown stress resistance. 8%.
Now guess how many people at the top of global finance have family connections to old banking dynasties? About 8%. It's already happened. The enhancement is out there, in use, working, and we're just now noticing. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. If 8% of executives are enhanced, how many politicians, military leaders, tech CEOs, intelligence officials? How deep does this go? And here's the worst part. What if it's not just the Rothschilds? What if other families have the same blood, the same markers? Remember, Ruffer found factor R in 17 families. 12 married into the Rothschilds. What about the other 5? What if they have their own programs, their own enhancements? What if there's a quiet arms race happening right now? Genetic enhancement, distributed through elite networks, invisible, untraceable. Different families, different compounds, different advantages, all competing, all escalating. While the rest of us have no idea. Let me show you one more thing. Then you'll understand why this is so dangerous. 2023, a leak, WikiLeaks style. Anonymous source, batch of emails, from a Swiss biotech company. Encrypted, heavily redacted, but some got through. One email chain, January 2022. Subject, Phase 3 results. Sender, Dr. Helena Kuznetsova. Remember her? The neuroscientist who blocked me. Recipient, ER admin. E.R. Edmund Rothschild. Again. Body of email. Phase 3 trials exceeded expectations. Enhancement group demonstrated 37% improvement in complex decision-making tasks. 0 adverse events. Recommend immediate deployment to Tier 1 recipients. Tier 1 recipients. There's a tier system. Levels of access. Who's on Tier 1? Second email, 3 days later. Subject, Deployment Logistics. Kuznetsova writes, Shipment prepared, 40 doses. Delivered via standard channels. Recipients briefed on administration protocol. Follow-up assessment scheduled for March. 40 doses. Matches the number of trial volunteers from 2015. But this is 2022. 7 years later, they're still distributing it, still deploying it. And standard channels? What does that mean? Medical suppliers? Pharmaceutical distributors? Private couriers? How do you secretly deliver enhancement drugs to the global elite? Third email, 1 week later. Subject, Adverse response, urgent. Different sender. Unknown name, but same domain. Email says, Recipient 12 reported severe headaches and visual disturbances post-administration. Symptoms consistent with porphyria crisis. Recommend immediate cessation and medical evaluation. Porphyria crisis. The enhancement triggered porphyria, the disease, the vampire disease, which means the compound interacts with porphyrin metabolism. Which means it only works properly in people with elevated porphyrin levels. Which means it only works in people with factor R. Give it to someone without the marker, they get sick. Give it to someone with the marker, they get enhanced. Perfect selection mechanism. You can offer it to anyone. Test them without them knowing. If they get sick, they don't have the blood. Remove them. No access. If they thrive, they have the blood. Bring them in. Give them power. Natural filtering system. Genetic gatekeeping. And now I understand why researchers keep dying. They're getting too close. Finding the mechanism. Exposing the network. If this goes public, If people learn that there's a genetic enhancement available only to a select bloodline, what happens? Revolution, outrage, demands for access, or destruction. The whole system collapses. So they protect it, violently, ruthlessly. Silence anyone who threatens exposure. And here's where it gets personal.
Because I've been writing about this, digging into this, for 2 years. And 3 months ago, something happened. I got a package, unmarked, no return address, left at my door. Inside, medical vial, empty, but residue at the bottom, pale blue, and a note, typed, no signature. You're asking the wrong questions. Stop while you can. I had the residue tested. Private lab, paid cash, no records. Results came back. Synthetic porphyrin compound. Modified, enhanced. Bound to a proprietary carrier molecule. The lab tech said he'd never seen anything like it. Asked where I got it. I lied. Said research project, academic. He didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. But he gave me the report. Told me to be careful. 3 days later, his lab burned down. Electrical fire, total loss. He wasn't hurt, but all his records, gone, including my test results. Someone's watching, knows what I'm doing, knows what I've found. And they sent me a message. Empty vial. The enhancement. The thing I'm trying to expose. Stop while you can. Or what? They didn't say, didn't need to. The implication is clear. But here's the thing. I can't stop. Because if I'm right, if this is real, then everything changes. The world isn't run by skill, or merit, or democracy. It's run by blood, genetic advantage, chemical enhancement. And most people will never know. They'll keep believing that the elite earned their positions, worked harder, thought smarter, never knowing they had help, biological help, an edge written into their DNA, synthesized into a drug, distributed through secret channels. And that vial, empty, delivered to my door, was it a threat or an invitation? Because here's what I realized. If they wanted me dead, I'd be dead already. They've killed researchers, silenced witnesses, burned evidence. But they sent me a vial, a warning, which means I'm still useful to them somehow. Or they're testing me, seeing what I'll do, how far I'll go. Whether I have the blood. And that's the question that won't leave me alone. What if I do? What if somewhere in my ancestry, buried in genealogical records I've never seen, there's a connection, a Cohen, a Levite, a Rothschild cousin 5 generations back? What if that's why I'm obsessed with this? Why I keep digging, why I can't let it go? Some genetic drive, some inherited compulsion to find the truth, because it's in my blood. Or maybe that's what they want me to think. Plant the seed, make me doubt, wonder, question myself. Psychological warfare, misdirection, keep me confused, keep me searching, while they move forward with the plan. But here's what I know for certain. The vials from Qumran exist, 5 of them, taken by the Rothschilds in 1953. Factor R is real. Multiple researchers confirmed it before they died or disappeared. GenBioSys created a compound, patented it, tested it, deployed it. And people in power are wearing symbols, bracelets, blood drops in hexagons, marking themselves, identifying their access to something the rest of us don't have. And here's the final piece, the thing I haven't told you yet, because this is where it gets truly terrifying. 2024, last year, October.
A conference. Invitation only. Monaco. Private resort. Subject: Future of human optimization. Attendees: 40 people. Billionaires, tech founders, biotech CEOs. 1 former head of state. 2 Nobel laureates. No media, no press, no official record. But someone leaked the attendee list, posted it online, then deleted it. I saved a copy, analyzed it. 37 of the 40 attendees have documented family connections to old European banking families, going back at least 200 years, and 3 of them are confirmed factor R carriers, based on genealogical analysis. They gathered to discuss human optimization. What does that mean? Enhancement, modification, evolution, the next step.
And here's what happened at that conference. According to the leak, the person who posted the attendee list, there was a presentation given by someone identified only as ER7. ER again. 7th person, 7th generation, 7th something. The presentation was titled Genetic Sovereignty in the 21st Century. Genetic sovereignty. The right to control your own evolution, your own enhancement, and by extension, the right to control who else gets enhanced. The leaker said the presentation included data, charts, genetic maps, showing global distribution of factor R, current carriers, projected inheritance patterns, and a proposal. Establish a genetic council, governing body, control access to enhancement technologies, ensure only compatible lineages receive modifications, prevent genetic pollution through unauthorized enhancement, maintain biological hierarchy. The leaker said 38 attendees voted in favor, 2 abstained. The council was formed.
Operational within 6 months. Name: the Covenant Institute. Geneva, of course. Public mission: advancing ethical frameworks for genetic medicine. Real mission: control who gets enhanced, who stays behind. And now we're here, right now, today. There's a council making decisions about who gets to be better, faster, smarter, calmer. And they're using blood. Ancient blood. Priestly blood. Rothschild blood. As the gatekeeper. If you have the marker, you're in. You get access. You get enhanced. If you don't, you're out. You stay normal. You fall behind. And the gap is widening. Every day. Every dose. Every enhancement. The bloodline pulls further ahead, while the rest of humanity struggles, competes, fails, never knowing why. So let me ask you one more time. If you found out you had factor R in your blood, if someone offered you the enhancement, would you take it? Knowing it came from ancient priests, from selective breeding, from 2,000 years of genetic control. Knowing it would change you, make you better, give you advantages, but also make you part of their system, their hierarchy, their plan. Would you do it? Because I think that's the choice we're all going to face, soon. When the technology becomes cheap enough, accessible enough, when genetic testing is mandatory, when enhancement is normalized, when they offer you the choice, be enhanced or be left behind. And here's the thing they're not telling you. The choice might already be made. Because if factor R is as rare as they say, 0.003%, most people don't have it. Most people can't be enhanced. They'll take the compound, nothing will happen. Or worse, they'll get sick.
and they'll be told it's incompatibility, genetic variance, bad luck, never knowing the truth, that they were tested, filtered, rejected, based on blood they didn't choose, inherited from ancestors they never knew. This is the future they're building. Genetic aristocracy.
Biological caste system. Hidden, invisible, enforced through chemistry. And it's already here. Now here's what I need you to understand. I'm going to keep digging, keep researching, keep publishing, because someone has to. Someone has to expose this before it's too late, before the gap becomes permanent, before enhancement becomes the new normal, and most of humanity is locked out. But I need your help. If you know anything, family history, genetic anomalies, connections to old banking families, share it. If you've seen the symbols, the bracelets, the blood drop hexagons, document it. If you work in biotech, genetics, pharmaceuticals, and you've seen something strange, something secret, leak it. Because they're counting on silence, on ignorance, on compliance. They're counting on us not connecting the dots. And here's the thing that gives me hope. The dots are there, visible, traceable. Ruffer's notes, Chevalier's paper, Savajan's study, the Qumran vials, the patents. The emails, all pieces of the same puzzle, and we're putting it together slowly, carefully, publicly. And they can't stop all of us. They sent me an empty vial, a warning. But I'm sending something back. This story, this evidence, this truth, out into the world, unfilterable, uncensorable. Because the blood might be theirs, but the truth belongs to everyone. So here's my question for you, and I want you to think carefully before you answer. What if I told you the vial they sent me wasn't completely empty? What if there was enough residue to analyze, to reverse engineer, to synthesize? What if I could make the enhancement available to everyone, level the playing field, break their monopoly, free the advantage from the bloodline? Would that be justice, or would it be chaos? Because I have that analysis, that formula, that sequence, locked away, encrypted, dead man's switch. If anything happens to me, it releases, publicly, open source. Every lab on Earth could make it within a month. And then what? Enhancement for all? Or enhancement for none? Does the advantage disappear when everyone has it? Or does it just shift to who can afford the best version? I don't know the answer, but I know this. The choice should be ours, not theirs. The future of humanity should be decided by humanity, not by a genetic council in Geneva, not by families who've hoarded advantages for 2,000 years. And that's why I'm still here, still researching, still writing, still breathing. Because the moment I stop, wait, someone's at my door. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. That's not random. That's a pattern, a signal. I'm looking through the window. Man in a suit, dark gray, no tie, briefcase. He's not looking at the door. He's looking at the camera above it, straight into the lens, smiling. He knows I'm watching. He lifts his right hand, pulls back his sleeve. Silver bracelet, thin, medical style. He turns it. It shows me the engraving. Blood drop, hexagon. He's one of them, and he's here. I didn't open the door, stood there, watching him through the window. Silver bracelet gleaming in the afternoon light. He waited. 30 seconds, not moving, just smiling. Then he spoke, loud enough for me to hear through the glass. You have something that belongs to us. British accent, educated, Oxford maybe, Cambridge. And we'd like it back, I didn't respond, didn't move. He tilted his head, like he was listening to something. Earpiece, probably. Then he nodded, to himself, or to someone else. We're not here to threaten you. We're here to offer you a choice. He set the briefcase down, stepped back, hands visible, empty. Open the case, read the documents, make your decision. We'll return in 24 hours. He turned, walked to a black sedan parked across the street, got in, drove away, left the briefcase on my doorstep. I waited 10 minutes, watching, making sure he was really gone.
Then I called someone I trust, former intelligence analyst, works in private security now. Told him what happened, described the briefcase. He said, don't touch it. Could be rigged, explosive, biological agent, anything. But I could see through the window. The case was leather, old, expensive. No wires visible, no electronic components, just a case. I opened the door slowly, checked the street, empty. Picked up the case, heavy, maybe 4 pounds, solid weight, documents probably. Brought it inside, set it on the table, stared at it for an hour. Here's the thing about choices, real choices, life-changing ones. You always know before you make them. Some part of you knows. The rational brain makes arguments, weighs options, calculates risks. But deep down, in your gut, in your blood, you already know what you're going to do. I was going to open that case because I had to know. Inside, 3 folders, each one labeled.
Folder 1, Historical Documentation. Folder 2, Current Operations. Folder 3, Proposal. I opened the first folder, Historical Documentation. 53 pages, photographs, letters, genealogical charts. First page, a family tree, starting in 70 BCE, Jerusalem. Names in Hebrew, transliterated. Cohen lineage, priestly line. Unbroken descent through the Second Temple period, through the Roman occupation, the diaspora, the Middle Ages, into Europe, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, London, Paris, and there. Branch dated 1744. Meyer Amschel Rothschild. His ancestors traced back 37 generations to the temple. Documented, verified, proven. He wasn't just wealthy. He was priestly, genetically, literally, descendant of Aaron. Next pages, medical records, 18th century, handwritten, German. Physician notes about Meyer Amschel. Strange symptoms, sensitivity to sunlight, reddish urine. But no pain, no illness, functioning normally, thriving.
Mild porphyria variant, just like I theorized. The physician noted, patient demonstrates unusual resilience to stress, maintains composure during financial crises where others panic. Attributes this to God's favor. I suspect physiological cause. 1798, 226 years ago. They knew, even then, something was different. More pages. Letters between Meyer Amschel and his sons. 1810 to 1820. Discussing marriage arrangements. Not business language, medical language. Ensure the bride's lineage traces to Levitical descent. Blood purity must be maintained. Consanguinity preserves the blessing. They weren't just keeping wealth in the family. They were breeding deliberately, maintaining the marker, factor R, protecting the genetic advantage they inherited from priests who handled sacred blood for 1,000 years. Next,
Dr. Armand Ruffer's complete notes, all 16 boxes worth, not missing. Here.
The Rothschilds had them the whole time. Every page, every sample result, every genealogical chart. Ruffer had mapped it, found 47 families in Palestine carrying factor R, traced them back to the temple, confirmed priestly descent, and found that the Rothschilds shared genetic markers with those families. Same mitochondrial haplogroup, same Y chromosome markers, same blood anomaly. Proof, scientific proof of unbroken lineage, from the temple to the trading floors of Europe. Pierre Chevalier's original paper, complete, unredacted. He'd tested the Rothschilds directly, multiple family members, between 1935 and 1937, all positive for factor R. All showed the fluorescence, the enhanced clotting, the elevated oxygen capacity. And one more thing. He'd measured their cortisol response, stress tests, mathematical problems under time pressure, simulated financial crises. Factor R carriers had 41% lower cortisol spikes than controls. 41%. They literally don't stress like normal humans. Genetic advantage, measurable, reproducible. And Dr. Thierry Sauvageon's work. His blood samples, his analysis, all here, preserved, catalogued. He'd found factor R in 43 people, 17 families, and he'd gone further than the others. Isolated the genetic sequence, chromosome 11, gene cluster related to porphyrin synthesis, 3 specific mutations, all 3 required for the full effect. Rare individually, extraordinarily rare together. Combined frequency in general population, 0.00027%. 1 in 370,000 people. But in families descended from the Levitical priesthood, 12%. 4,400 times more common, because it was selected for, preserved, protected for 2,000 years. Last document in folder 1. Photographs from Qumran. The 5 vials, intact, sealed, labeled. Sample 1 through sample 5. And test results. Full genetic sequencing, completed in 2019. The blood from 2,000 years ago, analyzed with modern technology. All 5 samples positive for factor R. All 3 mutations present. Ancient priests had it, passed it down, exactly as documented. The genetic evidence matched the genealogical records. Case closed. Open loop. 1 closed. Factor R is a 3-mutation genetic variant affecting porphyrin synthesis. 41% lower cortisol response, enhanced clotting, higher oxygen capacity. Open loop 2, closed. The Rothschilds married within the family to preserve factor R. Deliberate genetic conservation across 37 generations. Open loop 7, closed. Edmund found genetic confirmation of priestly descent in ancient Levantine populations. Direct lineage match to his own family. I closed folder 1, hands shaking, because this wasn't conspiracy theory. This wasn't speculation. This was proof, documentation, science. The Rothschilds are genetically descended from the ancient priesthood, and they've known it, protected it, weaponized it for over 2 centuries. Folder 2, current operations, 81 pages. First page, organizational chart. The Covenant Institute, Geneva, established 2024.
Board of Directors, 17 names. 14 I recognized. Old families, banking dynasties, European aristocracy. 3 I didn't know. Tech billionaires, new money. But research showed all 3 have factor R through maternal lineages. The genetic council is real, operating, making decisions. Next pages. Deployment logs. Enhancement compound, codenamed anima. Latin for soul, or life, or breath. Production began 2016. GenBiosis facility, Geneva. Initial batch, 40 doses. Distributed to trial participants. Success rate, 93%. 37 participants showed measurable improvement. 3 showed adverse reactions.
Later determined they lacked factor R. Second batch, 200 doses, 2018, distributed to Tier 1 recipients. Who's Tier 1? List included 137 names, CEOs, politicians, military leaders, intelligence directors, central bankers. Every single one with documented factor R lineage. Janet Yellen, Christine Lagarde, Mark Carney, all there. Plus 80 others I didn't recognize until I researched them. Heads of sovereign wealth funds, chairs of regulatory agencies, Supreme Court justices in 3 countries, people making decisions that affect billions, all enhanced, all carrying the marker, all part of the network. Third batch, 1,000 doses, 2022. Tier 2 expansion. Mid-level executives, military officers, senior diplomats. Filtering down, building the network, layer by layer. Fourth batch, 3,000 doses, 2024. Tier 3. Junior partners, rising stars, promising candidates. Testing them. Identifying who has the blood, bringing them in. 7,140 people, enhanced, operational, in positions of power, across 63 countries. Revenue model. Yes, they're charging for this. Tier 1. Invitation only, no cost, strategic placement. Tier 2. 500,000 euros per dose, annual renewal required. Tier 3. 200,000 euros per dose. Total revenue 2024, 637 million euros. Profit margin 82%. They're not just controlling power, they're monetizing genetic advantage. Next section. Screening protocols. How they identify carriers, how they recruit. Genetic testing companies. 23andMe, Ancestry DNA, MyHeritage. Partnership agreements. Data sharing. Anonymized, supposedly. They scan results. Automated, looking for the 3 mutations. When they find a match, algorithmic flagging. Sent to recruitment team. Targeted advertising. Executive coaching programs. Leadership seminars. Wellness retreats. Get the person to an event, controlled environment. Make the offer. You have unique potential. We can help you unlock it. Professional language, medical language, optimization language. Never mentioning blood, never mentioning genetics, never mentioning priesthood. Just enhancement, performance, success. 87% acceptance rate among those offered. People want the edge. Don't ask too many questions. Monitoring protocols, post-deployment, monthly check-ins, blood tests, cognitive assessments, stress response measurements, ensuring the compound works, ensuring compliance, ensuring loyalty. Because here's the thing. Once you're enhanced, once you've felt the difference, the clarity,
the calm, the advantage. You can't go back. Withdrawal syndrome. If you stop taking anima, cortisol rebound, anxiety, cognitive fog, depression. Not fatal, not dangerous, but debilitating. You become dependent, psychologically, physiologically. And they control the supply. Security protocols for protecting the program, threat assessment teams, monitoring researchers, journalists, activists, anyone getting too close, anyone asking questions. Response levels. Level 1, observation. Track their research, monitor communications. Level 2, interference. Deny funding, reject publications, discredit findings. Level 3, neutralization. Legal threats, professional destruction, forced relocation. Level 4, permanent removal. They don't write assassination, but the implication is clear. Researchers who died. Ruffer, Chevalier, Savagen. All Level 4 responses. Threat eliminated. Research seized. Legacy erased. And me? Notation at the bottom of the threat assessment page, added 3 months ago. Subject exhibits persistent inquiry despite Level 2 measures. Escalate to Level 3. Prepare Level 4 contingency. They've been planning to kill me. The only reason I'm alive is because someone higher up said, wait. See what he does. See what he knows. See if he has the blood. Open loop 4. Closed. Dr. Ruffer's notes are held by the Rothschilds. They seized them to protect evidence of genetic lineage. Open loop 5. Closed. Edmund found proof that his family descends from ancient priests. He funded settlements at sites connected to that lineage. Open loop 6. Closed. Factor R glows because of elevated porphyrin levels. The mutations cause mild beneficial porphyria without disease symptoms. Open loop 8. Closed. Yes, the Rothschilds have a beneficial porphyrin mutation. 3 specific genetic changes on chromosome 11. Open loop 9. Closed. Mengele's notes referenced R variant from Vienna testing of Baron Louis de Rothschild. He was looking for factor R in concentration camp prisoners. I closed folder 2, heart pounding. Because this isn't hidden. This is documented. Internal records, operational details. They're confident enough to write it down, keep files. Maintain databases, because they don't think anyone outside the network will ever see it. They control the system, control the information, control the threat response. And anyone who gets too close gets removed. Folder 3, Proposal. 12 pages, addressed to me by name. Proposal for voluntary integration into Covenant Network. Here's what they're offering. Page 1. Genetic test results, my DNA. Analyzed from samples I didn't know they had, probably from medical records. Blood donation, ancestry testing I did 6 years ago. Results positive. Heterozygous for 2 of the 3 factor R mutations. Homozygous for the 3rd. I'm a carrier. Partial, not full expression, but enough. Enough to respond to anima. Enough to benefit from enhancement. Enough to be one of them. They traced my lineage. 4 pages of genealogical charts. Maternal line, great-great-grandmother, Polish-Jewish, surname Horowitz, descended from Isaiah Horowitz, the Shelah. 17th century rabbi and Kabbalist, who descended from Levitical families, traced back through medieval records to the temple. I'm part of the bloodline, distant, diluted, but there. And they knew it before I did. Page 5, the offer. Full access to Anima, 3-month trial, free. Tier 2 placement upon successful integration. Position as Director of Historical Research for the Covenant Institute. Salary, €400,000 annually, plus benefits. Responsibility, document and legitimize the genetic lineage. Publish academic papers, scholarly framework. Make it respectable. Make it scientific. Make it acceptable. Your work has demonstrated exceptional skill in historical synthesis and narrative construction. We believe you would be invaluable in shaping public understanding of human genetic optimization. Translation: stop exposing us. Start working for us. Use your talent to sell the program. Make people accept genetic hierarchy, controlled opposition, co-opted.
Neutralized. Page 6. Consequences of refusal. Professional destruction. Every article I've written. Flagged for review, retracted, discredited. Financial isolation. Bank accounts frozen, credit destroyed. Tax audits, legal entanglement, lawsuits, harassment. Restraining orders, made too expensive to fight. Social destruction, relationships poisoned, reputation demolished, isolated. And if all that fails, level 4. They don't say it explicitly, but the notation is there. Subject's continued operation outside institutional framework poses unacceptable risk to program integrity. Accept the offer or be removed. Page 7. Timeline. 24 hours to decide, starting from when the briefcase was delivered. They'll return tomorrow, same time, same man in the gray suit. If I accept, I sign documents, receive the first dose, begin integration. If I refuse, they implement consequences, starting immediately. Pages 8 through 12, supporting materials.
Testimonials from enhanced individuals, before and after. Cognitive tests, stress response, career progression. All positive, all glowing, all grateful. Anima changed my life. I can think clearly during crises, make better decisions. I'm more successful, happier, healthier. I used to panic during high-pressure situations. Now I'm calm, focused. I've been promoted twice since starting the program. My family has Factor R going back generations. Anima unlocked potential I didn't know I had. I'm finally living up to my genetic heritage. Genetic heritage. They say it openly now, among themselves, because they believe it, truly believe it. That some people are genetically superior, descended from priests, chosen, special, and everyone else is lesser, without the blood, without the advantage, to be ruled, managed, controlled. I closed the folder, stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the street. Ordinary people, going about their lives. No idea. None. That there's a genetic aristocracy operating above them, making decisions, shaping policy, controlling markets. Enhanced, calm, strategic, ruthless, while everyone else struggles, competes, fails, and blames themselves. Here's the thing about genetic determinism. The idea that your DNA defines your potential, your worth, your place in the hierarchy. It's attractive, simple, clean. Some people are born better, They rise, they lead, they win. Everyone else, born lesser, they follow, they work, they serve. Natural order, biological hierarchy. Except it's not natural. It's engineered, controlled, maintained through selective breeding and chemical enhancement, and hidden behind a story about ancient priests and sacred blood. But here's what they got wrong. The mutations. The 3 genetic changes that create Factor R. I looked them up, researched them. Independent studies. All 3 mutations exist in the general population, separately. One mutation,
Found in about 2% of Europeans, affects porphyrin recycling. Second mutation, found in about 5% of Middle Eastern populations, affects iron metabolism. Third mutation, found in about 1% of Ashkenazi Jews, affects neurotransmitter regulation. Individually, common enough, beneficial but subtle. Together, extraordinarily rare. Synergistic effect. But here's the thing. Nothing stops those mutations from appearing together randomly in anyone. Genetic recombination happens every generation. New combinations, new possibilities. Factor R isn't exclusive to the priestly bloodline. It's just concentrated there through selective breeding. But it can appear anywhere, in anyone. I searched genetic databases, public ones, research studies, anonymized data. Found 12 individuals with all 3 mutations. No connection to known Factor R families. Random occurrence, spontaneous, natural. They have the same genetic advantage, same potential for enhancement.
but they don't know it, haven't been recruited, haven't been offered anima. Because they're not part of the network, not part of the bloodline. Their advantage is latent, unexpressed, wasted. And that's when I understood. The Rothschilds don't control the genetics. They control access to the enhancement. They control who knows about Factor R, who gets tested, who gets recruited. They use genealogy as a filter, bloodline as gatekeeping. But the real power isn't in the blood. It's in the knowledge, the compound, the network. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break the gate. I have the formula from the residue they sent me, analyzed, reverse engineered, synthesized. I have the genetic sequence, the 3 mutations, publicly available in research databases. I have the screening protocol, how to test for Factor R. Simple PCR test, costs $40. And I have the evidence. Everything in those 3 folders, photographed, encrypted, backed up. I'm going to release it. All of it. Open source, public domain, uncontrollable. Let every lab on Earth make anima. Let every person test themselves for Factor R. Let the advantage spread, democratize it, destroy the monopoly. But before I do, I need to close the remaining loops, answer the questions, finish the story. Because you deserve to know all of it. Open loop 3. What happened to Nathan Rothschild in the stock exchange? He was enhanced, not chemically. His genetics did it naturally. Full Factor R expression, 3 mutations, homozygous. He literally couldn't panic. Cortisol response 41% lower than normal. Amygdala activity reduced. He stood in chaos and made perfect decisions because his brain didn't register the same stress everyone else felt. Not superhuman, just genetic advantage, expressed, utilized. Open loop 10. Are the Rothschilds genetic descendants of the ancient Jewish priesthood? Yes. Documented through genealogical records and confirmed by genetic testing. Unbroken lineage, 37 generations. They descend from Cohens, priests who served in the temple, who handled blood sacrifices, who carried factor R. And they've protected that heritage, married to preserve it, built an empire on it. Open loop. 11. What are the full effects of factor R that haven't been discovered yet, beyond stress resilience? Longevity markers, enhanced DNA repair, lower oxidative stress. Anema users show slower biological aging, telomere preservation, reduced cancer risk. The documents show average lifespan for enhanced Tier 1 individuals, 93 years. General population, 77 years. 16 extra years just from the compound. And cognitive preservation, reduced dementia risk, maintained neuroplasticity into old age. They're not just performing better, they're living longer, staying sharper, compounding advantage, decade after decade. Open loop. 12. Do the Rothschilds control the patents for genetic enhancement related to factor R? Yes, through shell companies, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Liechtenstein. Patents on anima synthesis, delivery mechanisms, genetic screening, everything. Worth an estimated 40 billion euros if monetized fully. But they're not selling widely. They're controlling access, maintaining scarcity, because scarcity creates value and power. All loops closed, all questions answered. Now here's what happens next. 24 hours, that's what they gave me. It's been 22 hours since the briefcase arrived. 2 hours until the man in the gray suit returns. I've made my decision. I'm not taking their offer. I'm not joining the network. Not becoming director of historical research. Not legitimizing genetic aristocracy. Because I've seen what they're building. A world divided, enhanced and unenhanced. Genetic haves and have-nots, where power is inherited biologically.
Unquestionably, where the bloodline rules forever. And I won't be part of that. But I'm also not naive. If I just release everything, dump the files online, go public, they'll destroy me, discredit the evidence, claim it's fabricated, conspiracy theory, disinformation. They have the resources, the connections, the control. And even if some people believe me, it won't matter, because the compound is patented, the production is controlled, the distribution is locked down. Exposing the conspiracy doesn't break the monopoly. So I'm doing something different. I've synthesized anima, small batch, 50 doses, using the formula they sent me, tested it on myself 3 weeks ago. It works, exactly as documented. Clarity, calm, enhanced decision-making. I know what I'm doing, how it feels, what it costs. And I've distributed those 50 doses to people I trust, researchers, journalists, activists, people with factor R who don't know it yet. Tested them secretly. Confirmed the mutations, given them the compound. Explained what it is, what it does, where it came from, and asked them to verify independently. Test it, study it, document it, then publish, simultaneously, across multiple platforms. 50 voices, 50 sources, unfilterable, uncensorable. Tomorrow, when the man in the gray suit arrives, and I refuse his offer. The publications go live. Scientific papers, investigative journalism, video testimonials, genetic data. Everything. Released, verified, distributed. The truth becomes public, undeniable, permanent. And I've done one more thing.
the formula, the synthesis protocol, the genetic screening test. I've made it simple, accessible, replicable. Posted it to open-source biology forums, encrypted, time-delayed release. If I'm alive tomorrow night, I can cancel the release, keep it contained. If I'm not, if they implement level 4, if I disappear, the formula releases automatically, publicly, globally. Every biohacker, every community lab, every pharmaceutical researcher, they'll have it, they can make it, they can distribute it. Anema becomes uncontrollable. The advantage spreads. The genetic aristocracy collapses. That's my dead man switch, my insurance, my final move. They can kill me, but they can't stop the truth, and they can't maintain the monopoly. So here we are, 2 hours left, until they return, until I give my answer. And I'm ready. I've recorded everything, documented everything, distributed everything. The story is told. The evidence is public. The formula is ready. Whatever happens to me, the work continues. But here's what I need you to understand. This isn't about me. This isn't about the Rothschilds. This isn't even about Factor R. This is about the future. Who controls it? Who decides it? Who benefits from it? Right now, genetic technology is exploding. CRISPR, gene therapy, embryo selection. We're on the edge of being able to design humans, choose traits, enhance capabilities, and whoever controls that technology controls evolution, controls humanity. The Rothschilds saw this coming generations ago. They positioned themselves, preserved their genetics, built the network. So when the technology arrived, they'd be ready. They'd be first. They'd control access, set the rules, maintain hierarchy. And for a while, they succeeded. Anima works. The network operates. The enhanced rule. But they made one mistake. They documented everything, kept records, maintained files, because they believed they were safe, untouchable, inevitable. And that arrogance, that certainty, that hubris, that's what's going to destroy them. Because I have those files now. And you're reading this, watching this, sharing this. The information spreads, the knowledge escapes, the monopoly breaks. And once it's broken, it can't be rebuilt. So here's my call to action. Download this, save it, back it up, share it, everywhere, everyone, before it gets deleted. Before it gets scrubbed, before they contain it. Because they will try. The video will be flagged. The documents will be removed. The platforms will comply. They have influence, resources, power. But they don't have control. Not anymore. Not if we act fast. If you're watching this, you're part of the distribution network now. You're part of the defense, the resistance, the spread. Share it, aggressively, relentlessly. Make copies, download backups, post it everywhere. Reddit, Twitter, Telegram, TikTok, 4chan, every forum, every group, every platform. Make it viral. Make it unstoppable. Because the truth is fragile, easy to suppress, easy to discredit, unless it reaches critical mass, unless enough people see it. Save it. Believe it. Then it becomes permanent, historical, real. And if you have Factor R, if you test yourself and find the mutations, you have a choice. Seek out Anima.
Join the network. Take the advantage. Or reject it. Stay natural. Refuse enhancement.
Both are valid. Both are yours to make. But make it knowing the truth, knowing the system, knowing the cost. Don't let them recruit you blindly. Don't let them control your genetics without your knowledge. Own your choice. Own your body. Own your future. And if you don't have factor R, if you test negative, demand access anyway. Demand the research, demand the development, demand equality. Because genetic advantage should not determine human worth, should not determine who rules, who thrives, who survives. We're all human, all deserving, all valuable, regardless of blood. The Rothschilds built a system, a hierarchy, a dynasty, on genetic advantage, ancient lineage, sacred blood. And it worked for 2,000 years. But it ends now. Not because I destroyed it, I didn't. It ends because you're watching this. Because the information escaped, the secret revealed, the truth told. And truth, once spoken, can't be unspoken. 1 hour left. I'm going to finish this video. Encrypt it. Upload it to the distribution network. Set it to release in 59 minutes, whether I'm here or not. Then I'm going to wait for the man in the gray suit, for his return. And I'm going to tell him, no. No, I won't join. I won't comply. I won't legitimize genetic aristocracy. No, I won't stop researching. I won't stop publishing. I won't stop exposing. No, I won't be threatened. I won't be bought. I won't be silenced. And if he implements level 4, if they decide I'm too dangerous, if this is my last hour, then I die knowing I did something. I mattered. I changed the trajectory. I broke the covenant. But I don't think they'll kill me. Not now, not anymore. Because killing me activates the dead man's switch, releases the formula, destroys their monopoly. And they know it. I made sure they know it. Sent them a message. Through channels, anonymous but clear. I have the formula. I have the distribution network. I have the dead man's switch. Kill me and you lose everything. They're rational, strategic, cost-benefit analysis. Killing me costs more than letting me live, so they'll try something else. Negotiation, compromise, containment. But it won't work, because I'm not negotiating. The truth is out. The files are distributed. The formula is ready. It's already over. They just don't know it yet. 30 minutes left. Let me tell you what I think happens next. Short term. Chaos, confusion, denial. The establishment will fight this, claim it's fake, disinformation, conspiracy theory. Fact-checkers will debunk it, platforms will remove it, media will ignore it. For a while. A few weeks, maybe months. But the evidence is too strong, too well documented, too distributed. Independent verification will come. Scientists will test the compound. Genealogists will confirm the lineages. Geneticists will find factor R. The truth will harden, solidify, become undeniable. Medium term. Revolution, disruption, transformation. When people realize genetic enhancement exists, that some families have had it for decades, that power was biologically tilted, there will be outrage, demands, protests. Governments will investigate, regulators will intervene, courts will rule. The Covenant Institute will be exposed, dismantled, prosecuted. Anima will be seized, analyzed, reproduced, and the debate will begin. Should everyone have access? Should it be banned? Should it be regulated? Who decides? Who controls? Who benefits? Democracy, capitalism, ethics, science, all colliding, messy, painful, necessary. Long-term. I don't know. Maybe we create a world where genetic enhancement is universal, available, normalized, where everyone can be enhanced, stress-resilient, long-lived, high-performing. Level playing field, true meritocracy. Or maybe we ban it, reject it, return to natural humanity, preserve genetic diversity, accept limitation, embrace mortality. Or maybe we split, enhanced and natural, two humanities.
Diverging genetic class system, permanent, unbridgeable. I don't know which path we'll take, but I know this: the choice is ours now, not theirs. We decide, collectively, democratically, publicly, not in secret, not through bloodlines, not by genetic counsel. And that's progress. That's freedom, even if the road is hard. 15 minutes left. I can see the street from here. The black sedan just pulled up. He's early, or I'm late. Doesn't matter. He's getting out. Grey suit, briefcase. Same man, walking to the door. I'm ready. But before I go, before I face him, before this ends, I want to say something to you, watching this, listening to this, sharing this. Thank you. Thank you for caring, for questioning, for seeking truth. Thank you for not accepting the official story, for digging deeper, for demanding evidence. Thank you for being here, right now, at this moment, when history pivots. Because this matters. You matter. Every person who watches this, shares this, believes this. You're breaking the system, dismantling the hierarchy, freeing humanity. One view, one share, one conversation at a time. The man is at the door, knocking. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. Same pattern, same signal. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to look him in the eye. I'm going to say no. And then I'm going to live with the consequences, whatever they are. But you have a job. Keep this alive. Keep this spreading. Keep this public. Because the moment it stops, the moment people forget, the moment attention fades, they'll rebuild, regroup, return. Under new names, new companies, new networks. The bloodline doesn't disappear. The advantage doesn't vanish. They'll try again, smarter, quieter, more careful. Unless we stay vigilant, stay informed, stay resistant. So share this video, now, before it's too late, before it gets flagged, removed, banned. Download it, re-upload it, spread it everywhere. Make copies, backups, archives. Because this is the most important story of our time. The secret that changes everything. The truth they don't want you to know. And if I don't make another video, if this is the last one, know that I regret nothing, fear nothing, surrender nothing. I did what I came here to do. I told the truth. I exposed the conspiracy. I broke the covenant. The rest is up to you. He's knocking again, louder now, impatient. I'm going. But remember, the blood might be theirs, but the future belongs to all of us. Screen fades to black. White text appears. This video was released automatically. Date, today's date. Time, 11:47 p.m. If you're watching this, I'm either in hiding or I'm gone. The formula is attached. The genetic test is attached. The evidence is attached. Use it, share it, free it. The covenant is broken. The truth is yours. End of transmission. Epilogue, 72 hours later. Voiceover. Different voice, female, calm, authoritative. 3 days ago, this video was uploaded to 17 platforms simultaneously. Within 6 hours, it reached 2 million views. Within 24 hours, 58 million. The Covenant Institute issued a statement denying all allegations, calling the video fabricated, threatening legal action. But independent researchers began testing the formula, synthesizing anima, verifying the compound. It works, just as documented. Geneticists confirmed factor R, found the 3 mutations, in the families claimed, and in random individuals, exactly as described. The evidence is real. The conspiracy is real. The genetic aristocracy is real. And now, the world knows. Governments have launched investigations. The SEC is reviewing Rothschild banking practices. Interpol issued warrants for 12 Covenant Institute board members. GenBioSys offices in Geneva were raided. Documents seized.
Samples confiscated. The formula is spreading. Community labs are producing anima, testing it, distributing it. The monopoly is broken. As for the creator of this video, the researcher who exposed everything, he's alive, in protective custody, identity classified, location undisclosed. He testified before a closed session of the European Parliament yesterday. His evidence was accepted. His testimony was credible. His impact was historic. The covenant is broken, but the questions remain. What do we do with this knowledge, this power, this advantage? Do we embrace enhancement, reject it, regulate it? Who decides? Who controls? Who benefits? These are the questions we must answer, together, now. Because the future is no longer written in blood. It's written by us. All of us.